Well, hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing the mid-year freak out book tag. Yay! Alright, so I've got my notes here, I've got a pile of books, and I've got images ready to put here. So there we go. So the very first question is, what is the best book you have read so far in 2021? Now, I have been really lucky this year so far. I have read some really great books so far. So I picked one from nonfiction and one from my fiction side, and the best of both worlds. So for my nonfiction pick, it was really, really tough. If like gun to my head had to choose one, I went with Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This book is amazing and just, all the feels. It's so good. And I listened to it on audio. The author reads it herself, and the strength and bravery that takes is just next level. It's amazing. My favorite fiction was actually the very first book that I read this year. And I think this happened last year too. It was like the first book I read just maintained its status throughout the year. And that was My Dark Vanessa. And I'm blanking on the author name, so let me pull it up. Kate Elizabeth Russell. There we go. Oh man, this is a tough read. I'm not gonna lie, if you know anything about it, you know it's a tough read. Both of these books have trigger warnings for sexual assault, coercion, mental abuse, and it's just, take care of yourself when you read things like this. But those are my favorite books of 2021 so far. Now, the next question is the best sequel so far of 2021. I don't read a whole lot of series quickly. I get burnt out quite easily. I do prefer standalones, but since just about every single book in the history of ever lately are sequels or are series, it's, you can't escape it, and that's fine. There's some great books out there. There's some great series out there, but the best sequel I would say so far is Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. A couple other series that a couple other sequels that I've read this year as well was Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. That one I thought was okay. And then Across the Green Grass Fields. I adore these books by Shannon McGuire, and I just, it's not my favorite in the installment of the Wayward Children series, but it is so good and it's so sweet. And I've said this before, I want children just so I can read these books to them. They just have such a special place in my heart. I don't know why, it just gets me, like the child in me is just like, I love this. So those are the sequels for 2021. The next question is a new release that you have not read yet but want to. This one was recommended to me by a friend of mine. She read it right when it came out, and it's been on my shelf for a bit, and I really need to read it, and I really want to, and that is The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. This is something I've been wanting to read for quite a while. Every time I pass by my bookshelf, I'm always like side-eyeing it. So I do want to read it. I'm severely a mood reader. So if there is anything that I am not in the mood for, like, I'm just not going to pick it up, even though the other, like, analytical side of my brain is like, but this one I want to read. And then the emotional part of my brain's like, but I don't feel like it. So that's how they war with each other. It's entertaining in my brain. All right, the next question is the most anticipated reads for the second half of the year. So this next one I'm going to talk about would also qualify for new releases you haven't read yet but want to, but it's also something I'm really anticipating, and that is Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Manansala. I am super excited about this one. It is a thriller. It seems like very comedy thriller, and I'm excited about it, and the cover is just adorable. Like, look at how cute. I love it. So I'm really excited for this one. It's one of my most anticipated, and a new release that I've yet to read. The other anticipation is the Six of Crows duology. I am finishing up the third book in the initial Grisha trilogy. The first book I really liked. The second one was meh. This one I think is coming back to, I'm a little over halfway through, and I'm enjoying this one a lot more. Yeah, so that'll be my reading slump really like halted my progression of some of these books. I feel like this one would have been done weeks ago, but it's just hasn't happened. Anyway, so Six of Crows duology is one of my most anticipated reads for the second half of the year. Two of my most anticipated because there's two of them, hence duology. Dropping things. Oh no. Oh! I lost my place. Damn it. So another anticipated read that I am excited to get to in the second half of the year is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I've never read good old SJM before. No particular reason, just haven't gotten to her yet. And I see these books everywhere. When I was younger, I put off reading certain books and certain series like Harry Potter because everyone else was reading them and I didn't want to read what everyone else was reading. But then I thought, why pass up a potentially good book? And I ended up enjoying the series. So that's sort of what's happening here is I'm seeing the name everywhere. Same with Cassandra Clare. I haven't read her before. I have City of Bones. I guess that could be another anticipated read for the end of the year. But for the second half of the year. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this and seeing if I like her. I own a couple other of her books, one on audio and one on my ebook, so we'll see. And now we come to the time where we talk about the biggest disappointments of 2020. One of my biggest disappointments is from a series that I absolutely adored in the beginning, and that is the Meg series by Steve Alton, Meg Night Stalkers. It started off really strong. I was like, yes, it starts off like the strong shark story, and then the Megalodon, and I really enjoyed it, and I was like, sweet, this is awesome, and then it just took a steep decline, and I was like, no, why are you doing this to me? So yeah. The other disappointments I have, which really hurts my heart a bit, is the Hot and Hammered series. I skipped book 2 for reasons, but books 1 and 3 I did read. My disappointment with these is not about the writing. It's about the type of men that is being perpetuated as romantic and caring. And it's not. Overbearing, overprotective, sexist. That is not care. That is not healthy. Do not look for those traits, please. The author's banter, like, she writes great. I really enjoy her writing. The sexy scenes are nice and steamy. The banter is funny. The women she writes are funny, bright, charismatic people. But the men are dark and overbearing, overprotective, and that is a form of abuse. So I cannot, that's so disappointing to me. We're going to switch gears to something more positive. That's the biggest surprise of 2021. My biggest surprises were classic sci-fi, The Midwich Cuckoos. Really enjoyed this. It was a quick read. Found it on my library on audio. Really enjoyed it. And the other one was Raybearer by Jordan Ifueko. I've been opening up my mind a lot more to modern YA. I was someone growing up, I went straight from Caddy Woodland, Little House on the Prairie, and the Babysitter's Club straight to like adult books like Stephen King and stuff like that. So I kind of missed this whole mid-range, and I just always kind of associated it with the younger reading is not going to be it's not going to be that good. It's not going to be what I'm looking for. And that is completely wrong. Now, there are some YA that is a bit young for me. There's some things like even in the Grisha trilogy that I'm like, that is just, it reads a little young for me. The immaturity in the relationships it's just something I got to get through because I do enjoy the magic and everything else of the world. It's some of the relationshipy stuff that seems very young to me. And I'm like, okay, so it's just, you take it with a pinch of salt and just move on and enjoy the parts you enjoy. Cool. Raybearer was wonderful. It was so good. I think there was so much heart and care taken in this book, and it was a big surprise to me. I thought I was just sort of in for a magical YA jaunt, and I was, but it was so much more than that. Highly recommend. Okay, new favorite author, debut or new to you. So I have a couple. Oyinkan Braithwaite. Oh my gosh. My Sister, the Serial Killer. This author's writing is so straightforward, and I really appreciate that. No word is wasted. It has a purpose, and like they're just telling you a story, and it's so good, and I really enjoyed it. Really want to read more from this author. Another one that I really enjoyed was Kelly Yang. I read Parachutes. I feel that that's a very important book. I think a lot of young teenagers need to be reading that right now. It does deal with consent, sexual harassment, race, racial issues. It deals with Asian hate and fetishization of Asian women, and I mean men too, but this book deals more with that kind of thing. Important, very good. Kelly Yang, would definitely read more from that author. And the last one that I just cannot wait, like, I just finished one of this author's books, and that is Grady Hendrix. Oh my gosh. He's always he was introduced to me as like a comedic horror author, and I love that horror comedy, cutesy, scary, is like right up my alley. But oh my gosh, I love Grady Hendrix books. And I want to read his whole backlog. Very excited for it. My newest fictional crush. I don't really get crushes on characters, but if I had to pick someone, I would probably pick Pike Lawson from Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. This book was so hot. So, like, of course, I'm going to have a crush on a guy who knows what he's doing. So that, yeah, good stuff. Pike Lawson, you got my vote. Next is newest favorite character. And I would have to go with Maggie from Trail of Lightning. I mean, she's a badass monster hunter. Doesn't take shit from anyone. What is not to love about Maggie? Oh, next is a book that made you cry. Oh, man. I've already talked about a couple books that that are really good, like My Dark Vanessa, Know My Name. Those types of books definitely made you cry. But the other two, so again, I'm going to break this up into fiction and nonfiction. A nonfiction book that made me cry was Cast. That book, just some of the personal stories in there, by Isabel Wilkerson. Some of the personal stories in that book, just, my heart hurts so much. And it's a great book. And now a fiction book that made me cry is The Witch's Daughter. Oh my gosh, by Paula Blackston. I wrote down all the books, but I didn't write down the author names because I'm apparently a dumbass. So, oh well. Braxton. There we go. Paula Braxton. This one made me cry. There was one point I was just like, because it's really, there's this point of like a mother doing something for her daughter, and I was just imagining like my mom would probably do that for me, and I was just like really feeling it, and the author's writing is great, and I really enjoyed that one. I'm going to tear up again. And switching gears to a book that made you happy, and I just, every time I think about this one, and that is Shipped. Oh my gosh, Shipped by Angie Hockman. This one just made me happy. So you have two people that are stuck together, coming together as a couple, and they actually talk. They discuss what was wrong. And it was like, oh man, they discuss their misunderstanding. And then it's like adult conversation. So it was really great. This book is just pure happiness. And I really, really loved it. Can't recommend it enough. Now it's time for the most beautiful book I have bought or received this year, and mostly going with this one because it was the first book I bought after our vaccinations, and we could go into a bookstore again, and that is Tomi by Junji Ito. Look at it. Look at it. How cool. This is the deluxe edition. And just, it's so good. And I'm just very happy that I was able to pick that up. And that is the most beautiful book that I have so far. And not only is the cover beautiful, but if you are into the horror genre and that imagery intrigues you and interests you, you can't beat You can't beat it. It's so creepy and it's so good. Love it. And last but not least, what books do you need to finish before the end of the year? Then these next few books are ones that I have started, but because of my reading slump that hit very hard, everything just came to a screeching halt. But I'm dropping books again, but I want to get back to them, and that is The Last Wish. We just finished a rewatch of the first season of The Witcher, and very excited for the animated movie to come out, and really excited for season 2 at the end of the year. So I want to continue reading this. I've only read the first 2 stories, and I really enjoyed them so far, and would like to continue. The next one is The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. This book, I really love her writing so far. A friend of mine, this is her favorite series. And last but not least, a book that is super, to me, it's really weird. It's told in a very interesting way, and I cannot wait to finish it, but I need to finish it by the end of the year, and that is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Really, really cool. Really cool book. And I'm super intrigued by what the heck is going on, and I have no idea. I'm just going to keep reading and enjoying the ride. So that is it for the mid-year freak out book tag. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some good recs. If there's anything that I should read or look into, go ahead and slap it in the comments. Follow me in the places and click on all the things. You know what to do. And until next time, bye.